Good morning, fellow classmates. I'm here today to tell you some stories, inspire you, and hopefully change your world a bit. Firstly, I would like to tell you one story that I saw recently. Maybe you all already have seen it. It's about a young man in about his 20s, and he's living in Turkey, Istanbul. And he's deaf, so he can only communicate in sign language. And one day, his whole neighborhood secretly started learning sign language. And one day he was going for a walk, and he thought that it was an ordinary walk, but that was until he bumped into a guy, and the guy apologizes him with the sign language. And then he goes to the shop, and the shopkeeper speaks with him only in sign language. Then he goes to a taxi, and the taxi driver also speaks with him in sign language. And then he arrives to the main square of Istanbul, and there are all his neighbors speaking with him in sign language and hugging him. And it felt so emotional. He started crying, and I felt so motivated, so good. And then the big billboard lights up. And there is this girl in a business suit, just like me. And she is there saying, as of February 2015, new video call center will open in Turkey, Istanbul, only for Samsung customers. Samsung, making a better future. How do you feel about this, the ending of this story? For me, I felt bad, I felt disgusted, I felt manipulated by it. I felt Samsung's hypocrisy. And that's why I think that stories have multiple layers. And business shouldn't be the top layer of the story. Business should be a secret layer that will genuinely guide us towards buying the product, not openly manipulating us. And so that's why today I would like to inspire your creativity. I'm not here to give PowerPoints, agenda, 3 points. I'm not here to talk with you monotonous on how storytelling can benefit your business wearing a black business suit. Oh, wait a second, sorry. Telling a story requires stop being a business and start being a human. Nowadays, the storytelling has once again become one of the most popular tools for marketers. Why is that? It's been around for ages. Well, basically it goes in and out of fashion many times. But now it's again fashionable to tell stories. Why? Because technical progress and all the things that we have PowerPoint, we have phrases, we have our things, we have our digital media, social media, we're conversating with businesses in social media. But that way we start being more robot and less human. So, stories have been an essential driver of change throughout human history, for good and for real. And now, more than ever, businesses, workers, and leaders have opportunity to stand out, spread messages, and make change through stories. You don't believe me? Just look at Kickstarter. Kickstarter is essentially a platform where people tell their stories, and they get money for that. They get funded millions and billions of dollars. We should start telling genuine stories. We should not be afraid to be funny or awkward, and this quality will benefit us greatly in the future. Storytelling evokes a strong neurological response. Neuroeconomist Paul Zak research indicates that when we see tension in the advertisement, we release some chemical in our body that makes us focus on the advert. When we see cute puppies, we feel more hopeful and optimistic, and we are more likely to buy a product. When an advert comes to a happy ending, we are feeling more motivated to act. Especially in the Super Bowl, you can see those 30-second adverts that looks just like mini movies. It's because they mastered a free text pyramid, a structure that Shakespeare uses in his stories. It's basically a pyramid, and it starts with explosion, then goes rise in action, then climax, then fall in action, and then the final outcome. That's how all the stories are based. And widely recognized lawyer, Mo Levine in America, he used another whole man theory. In one of his cases, he defended a person who had no arms. And at that time, everybody was, they wanted from him long stories, long closing arguments. But he didn't do that. What he did, he painted a short picture with his argument. He basically went after the trial on stage, and he told that, you know, not long ago, you all juries went to your room to dinner, to jury room. The judge with the court clerks, they went to dinner. The defense attorney, Mr. Horowitz, with his client, they went to dinner. So I decided that I should go to dinner with my client, Howard. And we went to this restaurant down the street, and we had dinner with him. My client has no arms. He has to eat like a dog. Thank you very much. That was the reaction, and he won one of the biggest New York court settlements. Storytelling may seem like an old-fashioned tool, and it is. That's exactly what makes it so powerful. Life happens in the narratives we tell one another. A story can go where quantitative analysis is denied admission, our hearts. Data can persuade people, but it doesn't inspire them to act. To do that, you need to wrap your vision in a story that fires the imagination and steers the soul. Social media is gotten us comfortable for conversations with companies. Businesses are more than excited to put their content on our Facebook wall, near the pictures of our loved ones, and our posts from 9gag, or whatever you do. The fact is, no one cares about your marketing goals, but everyone cares about a good story. For example, who knows Apple company? Who raise your hands? Everybody. And who knows Huawei? Oh, so many people. Usually when I ask second question, I see one or two hands most of the time. Why? Because we know Steve Jobs' story. We know his passion for simple designs and his passion for effective gadgets. That's why we buy Apple. The time we buy Apple become irrational, because it's the same qualities as any other phone we have, but in a high cost. And I want to say that I'm also irrational. I'm also buying because of the stories, even though it doesn't work because technically it's awful. I use Samsung. Those who tell stories rule the world. As technology intervenes us, it becomes increasingly true. If you don't believe me, who believes that storytelling rules the world? The stories rule the world. That those who can tell stories rule the world. Okay. Those who don't believe. Let's make up a strong story right now. Let's think of our character. Let's be a war veteran, our character, because you have sympathy for a war veteran. He's a war veteran, and let's think he's an immigrant. He's an immigrant, just like us, so we can all relate to him. He doesn't smoke, drink, but he's a poor one. He lives on the streets. But he has passion. He's an irrational one. He has passion. He wants to become an artist one day. He wants to do art. But he goes to museums, colleges, and they all say that he's not good enough. You are not good enough. So with a little bit of luck, he ends up in a pub, telling his story and his views and his opinions on the world. And at the end, he asks for a simple favor. I will ask you right now. When I say hey, you say ho. It's that easy as that. Let's try. Hey, ho. Hey, ho. Hey, ho. And that's basically how Adolf Hitler came to power. So that's why it's our job as businesses, workers, and specialists to be sure that the good guys are telling the best stories. And returning to Samsung's story, was it a good advert or bad advert? At the end, it made me care. It doesn't matter what reaction it gets, negative or positive, as long as there was a reaction. The customers are out there saying, make me care, and we should make them. And that was my single point of this presentation. I had only one point, and if at some point you didn't agree with me, then It's no worries, no worries. I'm just a storyteller. It was only a story. I made it all up. Thank you very much.